All right, so you've set your sights on grad school in Japan. That's awesome. You've got the drive, you've got the grades, but what if I told you that most international students get rejected before an admissions officer even knows their name? Yeah, seriously. There's this one huge step that's totally unique to the Japanese system, and almost everyone misses it. In the next few minutes, we're going to break that down so you don't make the same mistake.
Okay, look at this. This slide lays it all out, and it's the single most important thing you need to understand. You see, in most Western countries, the path is pretty straightforward, right? You build a great application, you send it off, and you cross your fingers. But in Japan, oh no. The whole thing is flipped on its head. The real work, the stuff that actually decides if you get in, happens way before you even touch an official application form.
And that brings us to phase one, what I like to call the professor quest. Seriously, this isn't just some boring administrative step. This is the whole game. Getting this part right is everything.
So who is this all-important person, the academic supervisor? In Japan, they play a totally different role than you might be used to. Think of them less as a future mentor and more like the ultimate gatekeeper. A professor's research lab is kind of like their kingdom. If they don't want you in, the university admissions office is not going to argue. Their informal yes is the one and only key you need to unlock the entire process. Without it, you're pretty much stuck.
So, the big question is, how do you get that yes? Well, it's a four-step mission. First, you have to get super specific with your research topic. Don't just say you want to study Japanese history. Know your niche. Step 2, you've got to become a detective. Use tools like Research Map to hunt down the exact professors whose work lines up with your interests. Then, you write a killer research proposal. We're talking around 2,000 words. This is your chance to really shine and prove you're serious. And finally, you make contact. A polite, super respectful email with that proposal attached, explaining exactly why their lab is the perfect place for your research.
And look, don't just take my word for it. This quote from someone who's actually gone through the whole process on Reddit says it all. If you have the support of a supervisor, you almost can't fail. I mean, wow. Once the professor says yes, the formal application pretty much just becomes a formality. The hardest part is already over.
And that leads us right into phase 2, the paper chase. Just remember, you only start this part after you've got that green light from a supervisor. Now it's time to start gathering all the official paperwork.
Okay, this part should feel a lot more familiar. This is where you'll be gathering your application form, official transcripts, your graduation certificate, and of course, letters of recommendation. You'll also submit that amazing research proposal you wrote, which you've probably polished up with some feedback from your potential supervisor, and any English proficiency test they ask for like a TOEFL or IELTS score. But see, this whole package isn't really to convince anyone new. It's just to make the agreement you've already made official.
Now, depending on the university, you might still have to do a formal entrance exam or an interview. But honestly, with a supervisor already rooting for you, this is less of a high-stakes test and more of a final check to make sure you're a good fit for the program. The pressure is way, way off.
All right, now let's talk about something you need to be working on at the same time. Phase 3, the money mission. Because, you got to fund this adventure. And Japan has some absolutely incredible scholarship opportunities, but you need to be smart about it.
The two heavy hitters you need to know about are MEXT and Jasso. MEXT? Well, MEXT is the holy grail. We're talking full funding. It covers tuition, a generous monthly stipend, and even your flight. The only catch? It's insanely competitive. Then you have Jasso. This one's a partial scholarship, just for living expenses. It's easier to get for sure, but the key difference is you apply for it after you're already enrolled.
And this chart right here, it really shows you the difference in black and white, or, well, in these bars. The MEXT stipend is about 143,000 yen a month. That's enough to actually live on. The Jasso stipend, on the other hand, is about 48,000 yen. It's definitely helpful, a nice boost, but it is not going to cover all your bills. So that's the real question you have to ask yourself. Are you looking for the full ride or just a little help to get by?
All right, you did it. You got the professor, you have your official acceptance letter, and your funding is sorted out. You're almost there. It's time for the final sprint to the finish line, getting your visa. And please, don't let this part scare you. It's actually pretty straightforward, mainly because your university does most of the heavy lifting. They're the ones who apply for this super important document called a Certificate of Eligibility, or COE. Once they get it, they'll mail it to you. All you have to do is take that COE, your passport, and an application form to your local Japanese embassy or consulate, and they'll give you your student visa. That COE is basically your golden ticket. It proves Japan has already approved you.
So, let's just zoom out for a second and look at the whole journey. This timeline makes it crystal clear. Success is all about planning ahead. That supercritical professor quest has to start a full 6 to 12 months before you even want to be in Japan. Everything else, the formal application, getting accepted, the visa, all of it flows from that one crucial first phase. Starting early isn't just a suggestion, it is absolutely mandatory.
So if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. Getting into grad school in Japan isn't really about filling out forms better than the next person. It's about building a real professional relationship with a researcher whose work you genuinely admire. Your application doesn't start with a piece of paper. It starts with that first, well-researched, respectful email. It starts with a conversation. So the only question left is, are you ready to begin?